So just a quick introduction. My name is Scott Tibbles. I'm an executive coach. If you hadn't had a chance to take a look at my bio yet, I'm an executive coach at Werq. Work primarily with senior leaders in organizations, helping them to be more effective, up-level their skills and competencies, and just be more effective in whatever it is that they're doing day to day. Mostly working in the C-suite with organizations. So very excited to be here with you today. We're delighted about our partnership with Texas CEO Magazine and being a part of this four-part series this summer. So really looking forward to spending a little bit more time with you today. We had a great session one last week. We had a number of attendees attend Michael Leckie's session. For those of you that are here today or might be listening to the recording of this, if you didn't have a chance to listen to session one or attend session one, I would highly recommend you go back and listen to the recording. And I'll leave it to Rihanna to maybe explain at the end how you can go back and access that. But the title of session one was, "What is at the heart of transformation? Building the human capabilities that change organizations for good." And it was an outstanding presentation. In fact, a couple of the things that I'm going to be alluding to today related to energy management and time management tie in pretty nicely to what Michael talked about last week. One of the things that stood out for me in his presentation was beliefs don't change behaviors, it's the other way around. And I've always kind of believed that way. And especially after many years ago, I was introduced to a gentleman named Jim Lair that got me into this whole idea of focusing more on energy management versus time management. And that if I would shift some behaviors related to the way that I manage my energy, that my beliefs around time management and energy management, layering that on top of it, would change dramatically. And it absolutely did. And it impacted my leadership in a very positive way. And today it helps me to help others to move things forward in that regard. So today we're going to be, is part two, again, what they don't tell you about transformation. And we're going to be looking at energy management and managing your energy and how that differentiates against time management. And I've got energy management on the slide. And that's not to say that we throw time management out the window. I could have included time management on this first slide. I didn't because I want us to focus on energy management. And what we're doing is we're overlaying energy management on top of time management. And my objective would be going forward for you to think as much or maybe even a little more about energy management and how that can impact on your time management and how to get more out of the time that you invest, especially in times of transformation. I was with a new client just yesterday, actually, up in Chicago. Just flew back late last night, and we're toward the end of the pre-work that we do with him in our coaching work leading up to our official coaching sessions beginning. And this was a very hot topic for this individual. And the reason it was so hot is because he and their organization are going through some significant change and transformation. So managing himself better, managing his time better, and managing his energy more effectively is a big topic. And I would venture to guess, we haven't completed his action plans yet, but he'll have 2 or 3 or maybe 4 action items related to energy management included in those action plans. So we practice what we preach. We talk about this a lot. I'm especially practicing it today. I don't know, how many of you have traveled on an airplane in the last 2 to 3 months? Type Y and hit enter in the chat. If you've been on an airplane and traveled in the last 3 to 4 months, hit Y. Yep, a few of us have. I don't know about you, but it's challenging right now. It's a little bit difficult. The last 3 trips that I've been on, 2 of them I had to stay an extra night because the flights got canceled, and then last night they were delayed significantly, and I'm running on 3 hours sleep today. So I'm definitely have had to practice. Yesterday was about a 12-hour workday. I know many of you can relate, and having to practice what I preach here. And if I had not, I will tell you from personal experience, if I had not focused so much of the last 20 years on energy management as opposed to time management, I don't know, I may not even be here with you today. It would have taken such a toll. But But I feel like I'm doing a few things right in that regard, and hopefully I can impart some of those things to you and maybe help you to think about things a little bit differently, and maybe not focus as much of your attention on time management, but tune it in more to energy management. I want to read, pardon me, if you will, while I read something to you. But the reason I want to read this to you and I want to tee it up this way is because I want to pique your interest enough that you go access this article on Harvard Business Review and read it. And well, not just read it, I want you to study it. This is an outstanding article. It's the title of it is Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time. And Reed, when you get a chance, if you would pop that link into the chat so that people can see they'll have access to it. But the title of it again, Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time. The authors of this particular piece, Tony Schwartz and Catherine McCarthy. Tony Schwartz was partnered with Jim Loehr back when I originally was introduced to Jim Loehr way back when they first introduced the book called The Power of Full Engagement, which is fabulous. Many of you probably heard of it. If you haven't, I would recommend it's been out there for 20 plus years, but I would highly recommend that you access it and give it a good look. But at the top of the article, it says the science of stamina has advanced to the point where individuals, teams, and whole organizations can, with some straightforward interventions, significantly increase their capacity to get things done. And that's important all the time. Obviously, it's especially important in times of transformation and change. People are stretched to the limit a lot of times. It takes, they're putting in extra hours, extra time, there's extra stress on people. So energy management becomes all that more important. At the beginning of this article, I'm just going to read you just a few sentences, and then I'm going to shift away from this and I'm going to get to our content here that's in front of you on the slides. But it starts off, and again, I just want to pique your interest here. Steve Wanner is a highly respected 37-year-old partner at Ernst & Young with 4 young children. Many of you can probably relate to this. When we met him a year ago, he was working 12 to 14-hour days. Can anybody relate? Felt perpetually exhausted and found it difficult to fully engage with his family in the evenings, which left him feeling guilty and dissatisfied. He slept poorly, he made no time to exercise, and he seldom ate healthy meals, instead grabbing a bite to eat on the run or while working at his desk. Wanner's experience is not uncommon. Completely agree. Most of us respond to rising demands in the workplace by putting in longer hours, which inevitably take a toll on us physically, mentally, and emotionally. That leads to declining levels of engagement, increasing levels of distraction, high turnover rates, and soaring medical costs among employees. The core problem with working longer hours is that time is a finite resource. We all know this. Energy, however, is a different story. Defined in physics as the capacity to work, energy comes from 4 main well springs in human beings: the body, emotions, mind, and spirit. In each, energy can be systematically expanded and regularly renewed by establishing specific rituals, behaviors that are intentionally practiced and precisely scheduled with the goal of making them unconscious and automatic as quickly as possible. That I can vouch personally is the absolute truth. I had I not hardwired a lot of these rituals into my brain and into my heart, I would have had a lot more difficult time getting through yesterday. And again, I know many of you can relate. You're working long hours. A lot of you are traveling, and you're having to deal with the headaches of that. But I was more focused on managing my energy and eating right, how I was going to rest and recover so that I could be here and give you my full energy today, which I hope you can feel and sense as we go through the program here. This stuff really works. The core problem with working longer hours is that time is a finite resource. Energy is a different story. So I encourage you to access that article. I see that Ree has put it in the chat there. Take a look at that. Don't just read it, study it. Take your time, go through the article, study it, pick it apart. Would love to hear from you and talk to you more about it at some point if we ever have an opportunity. Now let me jump into the core of what I've got for you here today as we kind of tee it up with that. A couple of things to think about. Copy and paste these, do a screenshot, whatever. I'd like for you to think about a couple of concepts as we get going here. Being present versus being engaged. Think about that. How often as leaders are we present? We're there in body, physically we're there, but we're not engaged, or we're not as engaged as fully as we would like to be, or maybe that we need to be. Our team is there. They're there in body, but maybe they're not as engaged as we would like them to be, or as they would like to be. So I'd like for you to ask yourself the question: Am I always as present, or excuse me, am I always as engaged as I need to be, or feel like I should be, or am I just being present? Which do we celebrate more? Question: breadth or depth? A lot of times we're stretched so thin, we have so much on our plate, we have no white space between meetings, that we're focused more on breadth than we are depth. Does it make sense to focus more on depth, going deeper, maybe asking a few more questions, getting a little more insight, being a little bit more effective with our active listening, and drawing out more information? Sometimes we can. It's an emergency. We've got to get things moving, and we've got to move forward. But which do we celebrate more, breadth or depth? A lot of times, unfortunately, it's breadth. Last, another question: quick reaction or considered reflection? Along the same lines, are we taking the time to reflect on the change that we're a part of, that we're in the middle of, the transformation that's going on? Or are we like the the new client that I was with yesterday? Things are happening so fast, and things are at such a fever pitch with the changes that are going on in the organization, that this individual is constantly in reaction mode. He's reactionary with everything. And I noticed when I began talking with him about these things and asking him questions about sitting back, reflecting more, taking time, he bristled a bit. I mean, I could see it in his physical, his posture and his countenance, and the way he looked at me. It really took him aback, and we had a great conversation. We ended up talking for the next 20 to 30 minutes about these things. And he'll come around. This will be a big part of our coaching work that we do with him, and we're going to end up saving him a tremendous amount of time, and his productivity is going to increase as a result. Energy, not time, is the fundamental currency of high performance. For your notes, jot that one down, screenshot that one. Energy, not time, is the fundamental currency of high performance. What I would submit to you, again, right out of the gate here, I want to say it. We're not talking about time management out the window and replacing it with energy management. An analogy that I would give to you is, I would say, think about it as a bus, and time management is the bus, and energy management is driving the bus. I would recommend that you seriously consider thinking as much or more about your energy management, how you're managing your energy or not, and the consequences of that. And then on the flip side, the benefits of doing a better job of managing your energy. Think about that as at least as much or more than you're thinking about your time management and your calendar and where you've got to be and when you've got to be there. Now, that's important. You obviously don't throw that out, but I want you to consider bringing the two together, and you're thinking about energy management again as much or more than you are thinking about time management. A couple of quotes for you for your notes here. I think these are fantastic. Every one of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors has an energy consequence. And the ultimate measure of our lives is not how much time we spend on the planet, but rather how much energy we invest in the time we have. Let those two soak in for a minute. Every one of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors has an energy consequence. How often do we think about that? I'm working with another leader in an organization that's going through a very difficult time right now. And a big part of the reason is because he hasn't considered how his thoughts, emotions, and behaviors impact how he comes across energetically. And it's put him in a real bind. This is one of the most technical, savvy individuals that I've ever worked with. And he's coming around. We're talking more about these things, and he's beginning to open up. And it's going to be a game changer once he starts balancing time management with energy management and understanding the consequences and the benefits of thinking more about what he thinks about, how his emotions and how his behaviors affect his energy and the energy that he gives off and the energy that he brings to his colleagues and to those that he's responsible for that report directly to him. The number of hours in a day is fixed, but the quantity and quality of energy available to us is not. This is very liberating from where I sit. And I know when again, I can just speak from personal experience when I started leading this way, thinking more about, focusing more on managing my energy effectively, that I started getting more done in a lot less time. And was much more impactful, a greater impact in a shorter amount of time. So it freed me up to be able to do, other things that I wanted to do with my life. So a lot of times unfortunately, we're trying to cram in more and more and more, and we feel like by doing more, just by the sheer volume of doing more, we're going to be more productive, we're going to feel more settled, we're going to feel more successful. When the exact opposite is true. If we would focus more on energy management, and we're going to talk some specifics in a minute, we're going to get there, some things that we can do related to these different areas of our life that we want to focus our energy management around, but it frees us up. It actually ends up giving us more time and more productive time. To be fully engaged, we need to be fully present. To be fully present, we must be physically energized, emotionally connected, mentally focused, and spiritually aligned. So let me stop here. Questions. Ree, any questions coming in the chat so far?
None yet. I think you're doing good, and we're all just absorbing the content.
Okay, guys. All right. If you have any questions at all, drop a chat. I'd like to try to make this conversational, so I'm not just spewing the entire time. But let's make this a dialogue as much as you would like. So any questions, pop them in the chat there. So we're going to look at 4 principles for the rest of our time here related to the power of full engagement. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being more, you as a leader in times of transition, in times of change, being more fully engaged. Not to mention all the time, bringing it all the time. One of my favorite executive coaches on the planet, his name is Marshall Goldsmith. Many of you may have heard of him. He's one of the most successful, most sought after executive coaches in the world. He talks about when it's, no matter what's going on, no matter how depleted you may feel, no matter how low your energy reserves are, when it's time to meet with that client or walk out in front of that group or whatever the case, he does a lot of speaking as well, it's showtime. And when it's showtime, you want to be ready. You want to show up and be ready. So we're going to look at some areas that will help you to be more ready and more fully engaged. Principle number 1, full engagement requires drawing on 4 separate but related sources of energy, which we just alluded to: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Principle 2, because energy capacity diminishes both with overuse and underuse. Can anybody relate? Type Y in the chat if you can relate. Energy capacity diminishes both with overuse and with underuse. We must balance energy expenditure with intermittent energy renewal. Now that one is that's a big one for a lot of people to swallow. Intermittent energy renewal. What does that mean? You mean I have to stop? And I would submit to you that yes, you want to. We all need to find places where we can pause and renew during the day, and think about this more strategically. Principle 3 is to build capacity, we must push beyond our normal limits, training in the same systematic way that elite athletes do. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you have to get to a place where you can complete a full marathon? Absolutely not. It's not what I'm talking about. Does it mean you have to get to a place where you are disciplined enough and you are strong enough and you are able enough to get to the gym and work out for 2 hours each session 4 times a week? No, absolutely not. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is developing a system and becoming consistent with that system that impacts in a positive way. You develop rituals, systematic rituals that impact in a positive way on these different aspects of your life, your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual life. Puts you in a position to bring more energy to whatever it is that you're doing. Especially important, as I was discussing with my client yesterday, in times of significant change or when you're going through major transformations like they happen to be going through in their organization. And many of you are as well, I'm sure. Principle number 4, positive energy rituals, highly specific routines for managing energy are the key to full engagement and sustained high performance. So I just alluded to that. Somebody drop into the chat a positive energy ritual that you're engaged in. What does that look like? So Melissa had typed in work and pleasure. I'm not sure. Coffee, yes, definitely, especially today. I'm a huge fan of caffeine. Absolutely. And you combine that with, the right amount of exercise when you can work it in and thinking about what you're putting in your body, practicing the piano. Michael, new to me as an adult, outstanding. Yeah, the mental, the emotional, not to mention the physical that goes along with that. So any other energy rituals, type them into the chat there as you think about them. So one of mine that I want to share with you, high energy music, Melissa, excellent. Yes, great one. I learned about, well, let me preface this by saying I had some friends that were pushing me really hard, and the pressure it seemed like it got more and more intense, starting about 5 years ago to begin meditating. I mean, they were, we talked fairly frequently. They knew what I was up against, my schedule and whatnot. And they said, Scott, you need to consider meditating, and here are the benefits. And I was firmly against it for quite some time because it felt like you're doing nothing. You're sitting. How can you be productive when you're sitting still, not doing anything? And then very long story short, I began to challenged myself to try it. And I committed to sitting still for 1 minute, 60 seconds, that's all. And I just wanted to see if I could do that, just sit still for 60 seconds. And just to see if I could, just to meet their request and their desire for me to get into meditation. So I did that. It took me about a month to get comfortable with 1 minute to 2 minutes. And then I started seeing the benefits of it. And maybe some of you meditate and you know the benefits of it. But for those of you that don't, I want to strongly encourage you to consider it. Read up on it. Look at some YouTube videos. Talk to friends about it. Study meditation and some of the benefits of it. That is a very positive energy ritual that I added to my life that I can tell you made a significant difference. And I share that with as many people as I can. Another one, and continue typing those into the chat as you think about them, other energy rituals that you use. Another one that was a big shift for me was I decided about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, to start only drinking water. And because I wanted to, I'd done some research and found that if you mainly drink water and make that a part of your diet, your liquid diet, that it will significantly impact on your taste buds, so that you don't want the sugar as much. And it did. It was amazing, the change that it made. So and that impacted so many other areas of my life, but the energy impact is substantial. And that's one of the that combined with the meditation are two of the big reasons that I can have the energy that I have today after the day and the night that I had yesterday and last night. So look for positive energy rituals, and we would love to talk to you more about that if you're so inclined or would like to discuss those more. To wrap things up, limit high carbs and sugar, Melissa. Yes, protein to start the day off. Good, excellent. Yep, great recommendation. Completely concur. Started off the day like that, and it does make it makes a huge difference in your energy. The key, Melissa, and for everybody else on the call, is consistency. So I see a lot of people, they'll start the ritual, and then what happens? The whirlwind takes over, and the whirlwind means all of the things that are swirling around us at work and in our personal lives. And especially during times of transition and times of major upheaval or change that's going on in our life, we allow the whirlwind to then take us off course, and we stop the exercise routine. The meditation practice goes out the window. We're not focusing so much on what we're putting into our body and how we're fueling our body. So the key to all of this is consistency, and to doing it long enough to make it a habit. And that is really the key, is to making these things a habit. So the old paradigm, as it relates to the power of full engagement, manage time, versus the new paradigm, managing energy. And again, we're not talking about throwing time management out the window. You still got to manage your calendar. You got to manage the clock. You got to be on time. Obviously, that's a very important piece, and it doesn't go away. What we want to try to encourage you to start thinking more about is how you're managing your energy on a consistent basis. The old paradigm avoids stress. The new paradigm seeks stress. Now, that one might sound a little bit weird. How does that sound to some of you? What? Seek stress? I've been doing everything in my power for so long to avoid stress or to reduce stress in my life. What this is more about, in my view, the way I look at this one, is it's about your attitude towards stress. It's not about becoming, some type of masochist and, oh, I'm going to do everything I can to make my life as stressful as possible, so I'm going to seek it out. It's not about that at all. It's about shifting your attitude related to stress and actually embracing it. And in some cases, I will tell you, I do seek it out. I seek stress for my clients at times, I will admit, to add a little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure, because they're at a place where they can handle it, and it's time to move things, move the needle, moves to a different level, and it helps them to see that they can do that, and that, oh, that wasn't quite as difficult as I thought it would be. So it's not about seeking stress in a bad way. It's about changing your attitude towards stress. Life is a marathon, the old paradigm, new paradigm. Life is a series of sprints. Now, what does that mean to you? Life is a series of sprints. Somebody type in a word or two what that means. Life is a series of sprints. What comes to mind for you? Just jot it. Somebody type something in the chat. Take breaks. That's it. Bingo. So landed on that quickly. Take breaks. Yeah. So, and don't feel guilty about taking breaks. Strategically build breaks into your day for energy renewal, for thinking and planning. A lot of especially leaders feel like, well, that's not doing. That's, the company is paying me. They pay me to do, they don't pay me to sit here in this chair and think. Well, a lot of organizations want you to sit there and think and plan and be more strategic and go out and take a walk and catch your breath and renew yourself, so that you can bring your full self and you can bring your full energy to whatever it is that you're doing and what you're working on. Alana, celebrate the wins along the way. Absolutely. Kevin, great. Exactly. Being in the present. Yes. Staying present, being in the present moment. Absolutely. That is, I mean, you're really hitting on something there, and that's a difficult one, because what are we conditioned to do? What do we condition ourselves to do, and what are we conditioned by society to do? We're conditioned to think about the future, and to be thinking about what's coming and planning for the future, which, as we all know, never comes. The only thing that we really have is this present moment, and focusing your energy on the present moment is incredibly energizing. So, great comment, Kevin. I'm glad you brought that one up. Downtime is wasted, the old paradigm. Downtime is productive time, is a new paradigm. Again, these are things that we just want you to think about. Just consider these. And again, would love to discuss these more with you as you think more about them. The power of full engagement. Old paradigm rewards fuel performance. New paradigm, purpose fuels performance. Old paradigm, self-discipline rules. New paradigm rituals rule. We talked about several rituals that you can practice. Uh, Michael Leckie said practicing the piano, being present, focusing on being present. Maybe that's through meditation or something else, whatever it is, but make that consistent. And then the power of positive thinking is the old paradigm. The new paradigm is the power of full engagement. Now, that's again not to say that you throw out positive thinking. It has many positive energy benefits from my standpoint. Uh, but thinking about how can I be more fully engaged on a more more global level, as opposed to just focusing on positive thinking and being more positive and using that as my main driver, right? But considering other aspects of your life that you might not have considered as much as you have considered things like time management and other aspects of your life. These are this whole topic of energy management is one that I've found there's a massive need out there, and as leaders, we need to be leading the way in this area. Questions about this particular slide? Anything at all? I'm not seeing any questions coming up. Ree, are you seeing any coming through the chat on your end? I just want to make sure we don't miss anything.
Nope, we haven't missed anything yet.
Great. Okay. All right, good. So in closing and a couple of action steps, here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to jot down in the chat and in your notes, first of all, one key insight. Pop that into the chat. One key insight that you take away from this time today. Pop it into the chat real quick. Time has limits, energy doesn't. Other insights. One key insight, one key takeaway from today. Jot it down your notes, pop it into the chat if you're so inclined. What did we accomplish today? Jot that down. Kevin, energy is a better metric for achievement. Great. Absolutely. And then finally, I'd like for you to jot down what we call the 3 Gs: gratitude, gains, and growth. What are you grateful for as a result of considering and being engaged with this content that we've talked about here for the last 30 minutes or so? What are you grateful for as a result? Amy, it's not about getting more done in each hour of the day. Good. Yeah. Manage your energy so that you can better manage your time. Absolutely. Melissa, thank you. Yep. Manage your energy so that you can better manage your time. And energy takes over the driver's seat. Alana, I'm sick today. True story. Resting in bed is the best thing I could do to honor my energy. Outstanding. Yes, we have such a hard time stopping. And we need to learn how to stop. We need to learn how to slow down so that we can speed up, so that we can get more out of each moment that we have, each precious moment that we have. And this is especially true for leaders, and leaders need to be setting the example around these things. What I would ask you to do is I'd like for you to ask, not everybody put those in the chat. I'd like for you to write those down in your notes as takeaways for today, an insight, what you felt like you accomplished today, and then those 3 Gs. What are you grateful for as a result of considering this content? Gains that you feel like, okay, I see a potential, I feel a gain already just as a result of considering some of these things, or I can picture one coming as a result of something I'm going to do, maybe something I'm going to do different as a result of this time today. And then along with that, growth. Like what's an opportunity for growth as a result of being here and being a part of this, and probably for all of you reconsidering thinking more about energy management, how I'm managing my energy along with how I'm managing my time. Kevin says time can't be balanced. However, energy can be used to create balance. Yeah. I'm grateful to find the ways to be more balanced. Excellent. And then Melissa, grateful for my health and a wonderful career. Terrific. Gaining insights is always key to my personal and professional growth. Outstanding. So glad that all of you could be here and be a part of this. We so appreciate it. I'd like to ask you, if you would, to email me your answers to those action steps that we just talked about there. Ree, can you pop my maybe pop my email address into the chat there? And if all of you would, by the if you can, by the end of the day today, or by give you a deadline. This can you tell I'm a coach? By noon tomorrow, email me one key insight, what you accomplished as a result of being here today, and then your 3 Gs. I would love to hear from all of you on those three, if you don't mind. And then finally, as we're kind of wrapping up here for next week, we're really looking forward to session 3, which is titled Supercharge Your Leadership, using emotional intelligence to engage, empower, and develop resilience for an agile organization. Gavin Parmenel, the president of Werq, will be our presenter next week. So we're excited for that. We hope that you'll consider signing up for that. Tell your friends about it, and bring them along. Looks like Ree popped my email address there into the chat. Ree, if you don't mind, also would you put my mobile number in there as well for those that would rather text their insights to around those 3 questions? It's 512-289-2757. 512-289-2757. And just let me know, lead off the text that you were in the session today, and that way I'll know it's you, because I don't have all of you in my contacts in my phone, but would love to hear from all of you on those. And with that, Ree, I will turn it over to you to take us home.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody for joining today. As with all of our sessions in August, we offer a free 30-minute consultation with a change expert like Scott. So I'm going to pop the offer up in the screen, and if you're interested in having some one-on-one personal advice or insight from a change expert on anything you may be going through today, whether it's around time management, energy management, or anything to do with change management, feel free to give us a shout out.
Ree, can I add one more item to that, please, before we go?
Absolutely.
So we work with a lot of organizations and individuals. This was a big part of the discussion yesterday in Chicago with my client. We work with a portal called Cloverleaf, and in that portal, you can populate it with different assessments, different psychometric assessments. For those of you that are familiar with those, we offer an assessment called the Energy Rhythm Assessment. And we would like to offer that to you. If you would send us a message related to this free 30-minute consultation, and then just indicate in that message, just type in the word Cloverleaf, and that you'd be interested in that. We'd like to offer you that along with that 30-minute consultation. Ree, anything else?
No, again, thank you so much to everybody who joined. Please tune in next week to learn even more about ways you can improve your effectiveness as a leader during change management. And we will let you guys go enjoy the rest of your afternoon.